On today's episode, Battlefrog is back. So we talk with their Chief Operations Officer, Garfield Griffiths.
This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast.
Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. How are you? My name is Will Hicks. Thank you for listening. You're listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world because of listeners like you. Thank you for leaving reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts and Amazon, wherever else you listen. I'm not picky. Today in our show, Garfield Griffiths. Garfield has worked as a race director for Spartan Race, Savage Race, Civilian Military Combine, and of course the original Battlefrog while they were around. I've been a fan of Garfield's for a while, and he has listened to our show for a while. So it was good to finally get him on the phone and have a good talk. Very excited to talk with Garfield in a few minutes. You can email me at willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow the show on social media by searching for World's Toughest Podcast. And you can buy t-shirts and stickers at theocrreport.threadless.com. I have started to see some shirts out in the wild. It's very cool. Samantha Thompson texted me a picture of her in her new World's Toughest Podcast shirt. I gave it 5 stars. You can also text me, 619-485-2726. I didn't give out my phone number for a long time doing the show, but fortunately, all the weirdos listen to other OCR podcasts, so we're good. 619-485-2726. Let's talk some news. Episode 1 of the Spartan Games dropped this week. You can watch it on the Spartan YouTube page. There will be one episode a week for 4 weeks. I will not give you any spoilers right now, but it is really good. I hate it when people spoil movies or TV shows for me. People do this all the time. I'm finally going to go see Titanic next week. Don't tell me what happens. Anyway, I promise I will not spoil anything for you here when I briefly talk about the Spartan Games. Spartan Games are a 4-day competition with 10 events between elite athletes from multiple disciplines. There are Olympians, triathletes, NFL pros, ultra runners, adventure racers, athletes from the CrossFit Games. Grant McCartney from American Ninja Warrior is there, and of course, obstacle course racers. 12 men and 12 women. Some of the names you may know from OCR on the men's side include Ryan Atkins, Hunter McIntyre, Ryan Kent, and Aaron Newell. Yeah, and of course, you might also know Grant McCartney from American Ninja Warrior. On the women's side, the athletes from OCR you may know Nicole Miracle, Lindsay Webster, Rhea Coble, and Corinna Coffin. You might also remember Emma Chapman from winning Tough Mudder X back in 2018. I said it is good. That's not true. It is great. The competition is compelling, and unlike a show like American Ninja Warrior, the Spartan Games is a competition first. After every event, there is an updated scoreboard, so you can tell what's going on. You know who's in first, you know who's in last. It is a made-for-TV event, but they respect the competition aspect of it, the sport of it, much more than shows like Ninja Warrior do. Spartan has had multiple TV projects over the past 5, 6, 7 years. They had the packaged documentary style race, like a 1 hour race for ESPN for a few years. They had live coverage online of the championship series and other major races. They had that terrible Spartan team challenge show for a couple years. But I really think they may have cracked it with the Spartan Games. I think they figured it out. I am looking forward to watching the rest of these and discussing them with you over on the OCR Report podcast. Look for that soon. You need to watch the Spartan Game. And this is not an ad. It's compelling OCR television. Here is a short clip of Hunter McIntyre talking about his training recently.
Running's always been a factor in Spartan Race these days. That's kind of why I took a back step, because I wanted to focus on being a macho man rather than a dancer in the woods. Now I'm back to being a macho man, and I got my own playground right here.
Hunter calling trail running, or really Spartan racing, dancing in the woods, is hilarious.
Dancer in the woods?
Excuse me, dancer in the woods.
Dancer in the woods?
We've had Hunter on our show. He is always a good interview. Hunter doing Hunter things will always be good television. And Dancer in the Woods.
Dancer in the woods?
Will always be funny.
Dancer in the woods?
You should go watch the show right now before the dummies on social media spoil the results for you. Then text me your thoughts afterwards. 619-485-2726. Tough Mudder held an event last week in the United Arab Emirates.
Tough Mudder 2020. 3, 2, 1, go!
They had face masks and social distancing at the start line. And it looked like the volunteers did their best to keep everyone spread out while they were on the obstacles. Some people ran with masks, although most did not. I've watched a video of it, and not going to lie, it made me want to get out there and get on a course. Whenever races come back next year, vaccine or no vaccine, 100% safe or not, I will be there with bells on. Not actual bells. The only thing at Tough Mudder that has bells on is King of the Swingers. And that's more of a World's Toughest Mudder thing. One thing from that course in the UAE, they are still doing Stage 5 Clinger over there. Stage 5 Clinger is one of the harder obstacles, like physically hard obstacles Tough Mudder has had over the years. Although Tough Mudder hasn't had it on their regular courses since 2018, maybe 2017. Anyway, it's good to see an old friend on course. A few weeks ago, we talked with Trevor Psychos about a charity he works with called Giving Smiles. Giving Smiles works with poor and disadvantaged kids in Peru. After Trevor won World's Toughest in 2019, he donated his first place prize money to Giving Smiles. We had a promotion with Giving Smiles where if you donated $20 or more to them, we would send you a free World's Toughest Podcast t-shirt. The promotion ended this week, and we helped raise $565 for the kids in Peru. Thank you, listeners. I appreciate that. Very kind. That $565 will go much further and help many more people in Peru than I could ever do here in the U.S. It'll go a lot further, dollar-wise. If you were one of the ones who helped contribute, thank you. I appreciate that. And if you didn't, you can still give at givingsmiles2020.com. And you can still buy a t-shirt at theocrreport.threadless.com. Would you like to listen to the show before anyone else? If you are in my text group, I will send you an early link the day before each new episode goes live. Totally free. No Patreon required. If you would like to hear each episode early, text me, 619-485-2726. I also solicit questions for guests there. I might wish you a happy birthday, happy Arbor Day, tell you about big OCR news, or I might tell you when there is a sweet deal on some OCR-related gear or equipment. Last week, on Black Friday, I passed along some info to my text friends that nobody else got. Send me a text, 619-485-2726. I mentioned last episode that if you text me, we could be friends, but not like the I'm going through a bad breakup friend. More like, look at this gross picture of my toes friend. And that's true. I stand by that statement. Blisters and black toenails are the battle scars of OCR and running. You should wear them proudly. Someone messaged me and said, you know, there are weirdos on the internet that ask people for sexy pictures of their feet. And I want to respond to that. First of all, I don't want pictures of your feet. I don't even want pictures of your toes. I'm just saying I get it. The other day, I saw a video of a small girl, a woman, an MMA fighter girl. She was fighting a 530-pound guy in Russia because, of course, it was in Russia. And it was amazing.
Дарья Маздюк, очень отчаянная девушка. Ой, пропускает в голову! Срубает Гришу, полное ТВ, добивание в партере!
This dude was 530 pounds. He would not fit in my SUV. He would barely fit in my garage. The girl was the size of a ballerina, but like a jacked ballerina with one of those really aggressive braids and fingerless gloves. Anyway, spoiler alert, but the fit girl beat the fat guy. Here's a clip.
Дарья Маздюк, очень отчаянная девушка. Ой, пропускает в голову! Срубает Гришу, полное ТВ, добивание в партере!
Hilarious. Classic Russia. My point being, videos like that are like The Ring. You have to share it with someone within 7 days, or you get killed, or you have to wrestle a 530-pound Russian guy. So I felt bad about it, but I sent it on to Carlo Piscatello with an apology. My point being, I get it. But again, I don't want pictures of sexy feet. If I wanted to look at sexy feet, I would just take off my shoes. Somebody texted me and said, I am in pretty good shape. I'm thinking about doing World's Toughest Mudder for the first time, but you make it sound kind of miserable sometimes. What are the chances I'm miserable during the race? What are the chances? The chances are 0. There is no chance you will be miserable. There is a guarantee you will be miserable. You'll be in pain. You will want to quit. No chance at all. You know, when the weatherman says, there's a 100% chance of rain. Man, that's not a chance. That is a guarantee. And it's pretty freeing, actually, to know that going in. Yeah, at some point, this is going to suck. You know it's coming, so mentally, you can be prepared for it. When you go to a concert or a baseball game, remember those? You know, hey, traffic is going to be terrible. We know that ahead of time, but we're going to deal with it, and we're going to have a great time. World's Toughest Mudder is the most miserable joy you will ever feel in your life. And even if you only run it once, and even if you don't crush your goals the way you want, or even if you're afraid of failing at such a big event, I promise you will tell stories about it for the rest of your life. Literally, till the day you die. Your grandkids will be holding your hand next to your hospital bed, and you'll say, did I ever tell you about Laughlin 2021? And they'll be like, yeah, Grandpa, we get it. You used to be awesome. I still am, you brat. Out of my will. One thing, though, when you sign up, shoot me a message. tell me you signed up and then track me down before the race in Laughlin. I'm not hard to find. I want you to see my face, and I want you to know who you are mad at in the middle of the night when you are cursing the memory of me telling you this right now for convincing you to run in our little bit of madness. Let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Trisha Rogers writes, 5 stars. A must-listen podcast for anyone in the TM community. World's Toughest Podcast and training for WTM go hand in hand. Will's podcast was just what I needed to get ready for my first WTM back in 2018 and for each event after that. The preview episodes leading up to each big event are always full of useful information to help you get ready. Even through all the craziness that has been 2020, Will has kept us informed and in the know. Thank you, Will, for all you do for the WTM and regular Tough Mudder community. 5 stars. Thank you, Trisha. That's the reason we started the show. Before our show, you could get 3, maybe 4 weeks of World's Toughest Mudder content from other OCR podcasts. And I was like, I need more. I could listen to that stuff all year long, this stuff all year long. And I need to stay motivated to get out there and train all year. World's Toughest Mudder is in early November. Once you get to October, you're done training. Like, what you've got is what you've got. You need to train all year long. And if our show can help you do that, then I am honored. Thank you, Trisha. Next review comes from Carrie Gianquinto. Carrie writes, 5 stars. Carrie, I feel like I owe you another one. Carrie writes, 5 stars. The best. I've been a fan of World's Toughest Pod since my first WTM in 2017. I love the race info, interviews, and how Will includes the community / makes his show relatable. I love listening to episodes during my long training sessions. Keep them coming, Will. Thank you, Carrie. That's a pretty nice review. Sums it all up. Do the work for me. Race info, interviews, and the community. I've always said the second best thing about World's Toughest Mudder is the community. First is the sweet bibs. You can be a part of the show like Trisha and Carrie by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, just open your iOS device, your iPad or your iPhone, tap the purple podcast button and search for World's Toughest Podcast. Click our logo and then scroll down to click Write a Review. If you do not have an Apple device, you can go to Amazon.com, search for World's Toughest Podcast, or go to lovethepodcast.com/tough to leave a review. And I will read it on a future episode. Thank you. We talked about Battlefrog last episode. They were briefly the number 3 company in OCR behind Spartan and Tough Mudder before shutting their doors overnight in 2016. They have announced their return to the OCR industry beginning in April of 2021, and we are excited to welcome them back. It's time to talk with the COO of Battlefrog, Garfield Griffiths. Let's go to the phones. Garfield Griffiths is a long-time and well-respected member of the obstacle course racing industry. He's worked with the CrossFit Games and been a race director across the sport, including with the original Battlefrog, Civilian Military Combine, Spartan Race, Savage Race, and the OCR World Championships. He recently accepted the position of Chief Operating Officer for the new 2021 version of Battlefrog X, and is part of the team bringing back Battlefrog for next year. Garfield Griffiths, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Will? Been a long time. I've been listening for a while, but never chatted.
I'm excited to talk with you, Garfield. You're one of the guys that I've wanted to have on for a while, and I just haven't made it happen, so I'm excited to talk. First off, congratulations on working with Battlefrog again.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It just, 2020's thrown us all curveballs, and I did not see that phone call happening. It was that was an interesting one.
How did that happen? You just kind of out of the blue, or?
Semi out of the blue. Obviously it was known that, unfortunately, for reasons that we all know, Spartan's currently sort of on hiatus, and they had to furlough a lot of the staff. obviously they have to survive. So they're doing what they have to do. I totally get it. So obviously I didn't have a job. I'm a little, as far as age-wise, I'm not quite there to be getting new jobs. So I was getting nowhere job-wise. And then Alan Ajoy, who used to be the merchandise director for Battlefrog back in the day, and also a friend of mine, he's ran a lot of my races over the years in Miami and what have you. He messaged to me, Battlefrog are talking about getting back together. Would you be interested in talking to them? This was months ago. I was like, I'm always willing to talk to people. Let's see how it goes. And I'm currently working. That changed literally a few days after that conversation. And then, about a week and a half, about 2 weeks ago, got a call from Alan. He said, do you want to talk to these guys? And I said, is it the same people as last time? Because he knew better than to even call me with that. I was like, is it new? He said, well, it's the same founders, but it's completely new management. Well, there's no management because we're starting from scratch, and new investors. So I said, yeah, let's have a phone call. And that was it. So I had a chat and I went through it with them, and I sort of went through my resume, and I kind of said, look, I'm very interested in coming back. Obviously, there were mistakes made in the past that we don't want to do again. So if I'm coming back to much of the same, I would rather not. And in the end, it sort of turned around that they said, well, do you want to be do you want to be responsible for the mistakes is probably the best way to do it. So, so I kind of took the COO, or director of events, call it what you will, position, and here we are.
You worked with Battlefrog in their first incarnation, 2014, 2015.
Yes.
Battlefrog was not the first or the last race company to close up shop. Why do you think Battlefrog is so fondly remembered by the community?
They did a lot of stuff right. They did a lot of things right. They put on a great course, and, I'm happy to say that, as part of my tenure with a lot of the team, we all put the original core concept together of what Battlefrog would be. We try to base it very much around the kind of the obstacle courses, or the O courses in the military, Coronado, the Navy SEALs. That's why originally there was not a lot of fantastical obstacles and all that stuff. It was more about just pick this up and carry it up a mountain, and here's some jerry cans, and climb this wall and climb another wall, and all that fun stuff. Because, as I said on a call earlier, it's like if you're doing Navy SEAL training, you're really not going to be doing King of the Swingers, It's unless you're really messed up somewhere. So we try to keep it nice and raw and down to earth. And I think people responded to that. And I know after I went, it changed slightly. But then we did add a few obstacles that were fun to mix it up. We had the tsunami, which is a big old thing, a big water slide at the end. And then we had the Huya, which is the tubes into the muddy pit. So I think all those things made it a fan favorite. I think one of the things we did that was one of my first kind of moves as RD or events guy, before we even put our first race on, was the mandatory obstacle completion. We were pretty much the first race to launch with that, or at least first major race to launch with that. And I had a lot of good conversations because Adrian from OCRWC was getting ready to launch his race, and we chatted, and he was saying, you're talking about mandatory, and we had a whole conversation about it, and he was thinking of doing the same thing. So I think that was one thing that kind of stuck with a lot of people, was the whole bands thing.
Tell me about that process, because at the time, 2014, Spartan and Tough Mudder were the two big dogs in the industry, and it was either burpees or just go around it. Like mandatory, yeah. It was kind of it was a new element to add, mandatory obstacle completion. You had to finish if you wanted to be on the podium. You have to complete every single obstacle.
Absolutely. So it was basically my thought was, and the reason I sort of decided to put it in there was, look, it's an obstacle race. If you want to take my money, do my obstacles. It was honestly that level of base. I'm talking about the pros, elites, or whatever you want to call them, Supermen, what have you. But it was that. It's like, I'm not going to give you money because you can run around all of our obstacles and just, penalty out and cross the finish line before everyone else. Do my obstacles. You got to finish it, complete it. And it actually, believe it or not, it came from my son, my 6-year-old son, who's now 13. we did a race called, it was Rock On Adventures way, way back. And he did a thing called the Doodle Dash, and it was a kids race. Really well done. Great little race. And they had all the things. And my son came in second behind this kid. And I was like, well done. You did good. You did everything. I appreciate you doing all the obstacles. You know, he stayed on the rope climb for a while. And, you know, this kid went and did it. And then the race director came up to me, a guy called Johnny. And he said, oh, your son won. I said, well, he came in second. He said, yeah, but he did all the obstacles. He said, the other kid missed a couple. He said, so, and I was like, first of all, I thought that's one of the most legit race director moments I've ever seen. And I know it's very hard to police those moments being a race director. But I remember thinking like, shit, okay, so my son won for doing all the obstacles, even though he was slower. And I guess that I carried along with me. And that might have been my son's Doodle Dash kids race that inspired the mandatory obstacle completion of Battlefrog.
Think about that race director having to go to the first place kids' parents. Like, they're like super happy. And no,
Yeah.
Your kid didn't do it. That is a race director moment.
I mean, I don't know about other parents, but I'm a parent. And if it had happened with me, I would have been fair play. Hey, unlucky son, you know, but it's a life lesson. I would have taken it. But I know a lot of parents wouldn't do that. They'd have a hissy fit and start complaining and get all Karen-y.
Battlefrog did a lot of things right. Without throwing stones, what were some things that went wrong last time, and what's being done to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Again, as you say, not throwing stones, but obviously these things a lot of people in the industry know. I mean, I think the too many chiefs, not enough Indians was definitely one of the things that pops up. There's a lot of people in charge, and no one knew who was in charge of who. So it was very tough. Everything was moving around and very fluid. The investment guys went from silent investors to very, very loud investors. They put all their input in, but they were from a different country. They're from Spain, and they brought in a marketing company from Spain who there was issues with spelling mistakes and bad English and grammar. And those things started to really erode the credibility of the race. So I think that was part of the issues. They wouldn't listen. There was a lot of, and this is one of the reasons I left. We tried to say, hey guys, maybe don't do this. It's not a good idea. People have tried it for the last 5 years. It doesn't work. No. This time it's different. Okay. You can only fight so many battles, and it would fail. And then it's just stupid. It failed. I know we said that. Well, try something else. And it just, much as there's some amazing people there, and I'm bringing a lot of the amazing people back, there was also a pretty divisive vibe, and it was created from the top. It was like a trickle down, and a lot of people ended up with a bad taste in their mouth, and it just got pretty unpleasant. And I left, and I heard it got worse after I left. But we were still putting on good races, but that whole thing just was affecting the company as a whole, I think, from the foundation.
Let's talk about next year, 2021. Battlefrog is back. What is the plan for Battlefrog in 2021?
All right. So this one, my Facebook's blowing up on this one. Yes, we are back in 2021. We are coming out of the gates, but we're coming out completely the opposite of last time. We're not coming out and saying, okay, let's do 3 or 4 races and then 57. We're not doing that this time. That was another thing that crushed them last time, was the expanding way too quickly for the logistical capacity. So this time we basically, next year is just a soft launch. We are literally getting the product right in our home base, which is South Florida. We'll probably do 3 races down here. We may venture out. We're talking about Atlanta or somewhere, but we're not going, I've had people say, I can't wait to see you in Texas. Unfortunately, guys, that stuff is going to be 2022. We want to get it right. I want to get it right. I want to get a solid, amazing team down. We've got Dean has come back, Dean Joyce, who is a highly decorated Master Chief of the Navy Seabees. He was the director of build. I'm not sure the title again. Last time, he has a lot of experience. So he is back, part of the team, to make sure we do it right, make sure we do it efficiently. And then we'll start to grow. So we're going to do the race in April 17th and 18th in Miami on the beach, an amazing, amazing venue, which was actually the last venue I did for Battlefrog in 2000. It was the very end of 2014 that I actually physically worked at Virginia Key Beach Park. That's the one where we floated an obstacle about 40 feet into the ocean, and it was just sick. And then we'll be doing another, that's only a 5K just based on space restrictions. We're going to do another one of those just in the fall. But then what we intend to do is our big race in the early fall. We're going to do at a different venue, which is going to be the 5K, the 15K. We're going back to that format. We're not going to do the 8K now. It's going to be 5K and 15K. You pick which one you want. We are bringing the BFX multi-lap back because that was very popular. Kids races are back as well, the tadpole and the bullfrog. We're looking at some other options as well. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole Navy SEAL kind of ethos, but one of the things that they have to do as part of their brutal training is Hell Week. Hell Week is kind of famous for they basically spend 7 days, no sleep, physical and mental, just onslaught to the point of delirium to see how much they can take. It's literally when I've heard possibly when most of the candidates decide that's it and they ring the bell and they're done. So we're thinking, how can we not take something obviously not that brutal, but and condense it down into a boot campy thing. So we're looking at a product now that we'll probably launch for the fall of next year, which is based around that kind of level of mental and physical stress.
How do you induce, if it takes a week or a week's worth of sleep deprivation and all the extra, how do you induce that on a Saturday?
So like I say, that is that's a new product that we're formulating right now. We've got to figure out how to do it. I mean, obviously people will do references to Green Beret Challenge or the hurricane heats. I mean, it's a boot camp. It's going to be kind of like a boot camp. It'll be all about teamwork because that's part of the SEAL ethos is the teams. So we want people to be pulling, and obviously Tough Mudder is, getting each other through it. Probably looking at a 5-hour event right now. If it takes off and people are feeling it, maybe we'll look at doing a overnight 12-hour or even a 24. I know Morgan McKay's, I've been chatting with her. She's like, bring back the BFX 24.
I was going to ask you about that. Morgan is the defending champion from 2016. That was a popular, it was like a popular concept, 24-hour race. You guys did it on the beach, which is something brand new.
Same venue as we're coming back to. That's the venue we're going to be doing in April, Virginia Key Beach Park. So, yeah, we'll get around to that one. I mean, that's, again, soft opening next year, slowly, catchy monkey, as they say, or British people say. But I'm thinking 2022, we can really unleash the Kraken.
So first race is April 17th and 18th. Do you have the other dates on the calendar?
No, we don't. We're still formulating it right now. To be honest, the company, they were setting off to kind of kick off in January 1st. And then when I came on board and I said, well, just given the amount of races I've done, you're not giving yourself enough time. So if I'm happy to come on board, we did an agreement, blah, blah, blah. But we need to start yesterday. So I came on board about 12 days ago. And we just hit the ground running. I'm trying right now desperately to get the first race launched. And then hopefully we're looking at, then we'll get to September. I'm not sure if there may be a date, but I don't want to speak out of turn for that date. But as soon as it is, it'll go live. Like I say, they were ready to go on January 1st, and I've screwed them all over by bringing everything forward 45 days. So now we have to get websites built and bank accounts done and everything.
That first race in April, what does a successful race look like? What is it? Numbers? Is it tuning the product? Is it what is it, on Monday morning? What does a successful race look like to you?
So to me, obviously it's different. You ask a CFO what a successful race looks like, and you ask a race director, two totally different responses. For me, a successful race always will be a safe race with minimal injuries, hopefully no transports. That's kind of what I look for. That's my little OCD thing. That's huge. But obviously we are looking for successful as far as logistically speaking. It's got to be safe. It's got to run smoothly, or as smoothly as any event can. But also it's got to be, we got to have enough people. We got to make money. At the end of the day, it's a business. However, the one big thing that we want to put across, which is huge, is that we will be supporting the charities again. I think that got lost a little bit in the last message of the old Battlefrog because it became very corporate. Again, I could be wrong. There might be more to it than that, but regardless, we are coming out with supporting the Trident House, the Navy SEAL Foundation, Navy SEAL Museum. We're working hand in hand with all three of those. So a successful race is a race where the company makes money. We all have jobs. Everyone has a great time. Logistically, it goes smoothly. And we also make money for the charities, and we give back.
If these 2021 races are successful and everything goes well, what does 2022 look like? What does the future look like?
I would say right now, we're looking at definitely, if we do say 3 or 4 next year, just to, again, as we say, it's just getting our feet wet and just doing our thing. I would say we're looking at least doubling that for 2022, probably 6 to 8. And in 2023, we'll probably hit about 12. 12 is when you start maxing out and you have to start thinking about doubling up your teams and everything, because, one a month is definitely starting to stretch one race kit. When I was with Spartan, we had 5 race kits, we had about 60 semis crisscrossing the country at any one time. It's an insane logistical workload. So we're going slow this time, but 6 to 8 races next in 2022.
I want to talk through a few features of Battlefrog 1.0 and ask you if we can expect to see them again. Kind of talk through them. One of them we already talked about a little bit: mandatory obstacle completion.
Yeah, absolutely happening again.
The most among the most difficult obstacles in the industry.
No. We are going to make it difficult, but it's going to be doable for most people. I'm not looking for some incredibly high failure rate. I'm certainly not looking for, and I didn't agree with this last time as part of my exit, was based on a few things, but one of them, I don't want people, and I just had a conversation with someone who did this, that I don't want people standing for 3 hours at a rig with their hands pouring of blood, trying to keep a hold of a band. I get it, and I get that Navy SEALs, we know what they do. It's life and death, and I get it. But we're not trying to crush people here and completely destroy them. 80-foot long rigs and stuff. I just see it's counterproductive, and I think that was kind of went against them in the long run last time as far as growing and getting more people. That was the problem about Battlefrog. They weren't getting enough people. They had the product, and I think just scaring the crap out of people, and making it just almost impossible is pointless. So, yes, we'll have the big rigs. We'll have some fun stuff. You fall into pits of water and all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be brutal. Does that answer your question in a long-winded way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The 24-hour race on the water. Can we see that again?
That will be definitely done. As you know, as you diplomatically said, it was a success as a product. But it was very, very quiet. It was not financially a good race company with about 100 participants. So what would, for us to do that again, I would probably say that we need to tie that in with an existing race weekend. So it's not a standalone where there's so much more cost. We've done it with Spartan, where we've done 12-hour nighttime hurricane heats on the same venue that we are doing a race Saturday, Sunday. So it would probably be closer to that, but it would definitely be 2022 if we hit that.
What about prize money for podium finishers?
Yes, but not decided on what. We definitely want to really concentrate on Joe Public. Not to say we're going to completely get rid of it. We are going to have pro heats, elite heats, call them what you will. And we are going to give some prize money to bring them in. Woodsy has been messaging me, and Ryan Kempson, a few other guys. Hey, what's going on? Talk to me. We're going to do something for them. And I'm very much want to do something that was touched on before I left, and I think they touched on it after I left. But hard elite lanes, because I mentioned I don't want people standing for 5 hours on a rig. That's not to say that the elite lanes are not going to be much harder than the open lanes.
Well, that was one thing. I want to say it was the last month before Battlefrog closed. They had, I don't know, level up lanes or what they were called, but it was almost like a hard, medium, easy version of most of the obstacles, or some of the obstacles.
Right. Yeah, something along those lines. I don't think we'll go 3, because 3 you can't scale up from there, because if you take an obstacle with, I don't know, let's say 12 lanes, you break it down to 3, you've only got 4 lanes. You put thousands of people through, fingers crossed. After the pandemic, everybody wants to run again. Hope so. I would say 50-50. We'd probably do a hard lane and think of whatever it's called. Not hard lane, not an easy lane. Certainly not going to be easy. But, one set of monkey bars will be standard and the other set will be made out of razor wire. No, they won't. That's not.
What about the Battlefrog mascot and his catchphrase?
Battlefrog, gotta live it.
You're waving goodbye.
He's gone. Bye-bye. Yeah, we're done with it. There may be a frog reference. I mean, the frog is in the name, and we're keeping the name, and the company wants to keep it because obviously it has brand recognition, but there will be some changes. There may be a small icon of a frog, but as far as that guy, who I had a hand in creating with Alan LaJoy back in the day, yeah, he gone.
One of the big things to come out of Battlefrog was Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster. What about Battlefrog Pro Team athletes?
I've never heard of those guys. What do they do?
They run races.
Okay. Two of the nicest people in the industry. I have hung with them many, many times. In fact, I even went to their house when we did the 2016 OCRWC in Canada. I was doing a site visit and had to drive right past their house. No, I would love to see those guys, and I saw them a lot when I was over at Spartan. Yeah, it'd be nice to get it. Though we certainly won't be doing any pro teams. Certainly not next year, anyway. And again, we'll do the cash prizes. I don't know how much right now, but we will be offering, and I will reach out to them and say, you guys want to come and hang out in Miami? See if we can have a little reunion. But that's pretty much as far as it will go on the pro side.
At the start line, will we see Coach Payne?
Yes, you will. Done, dusted, and hired. I actually just posted, as I was talking to you when we first started, I was literally just posting one of those, in case you missed it, things to say he's back, and a picture of Coach Payne's back. So, yep, he is going to be back doing his thing.
Will we see any college bowl game sponsorships?
Not on my watch. God, no. No, I'd rather, if I had that kind of money to spend, yes, no, we'd be... I'm just taking the fifth on that whole thing. No, none of that.
The first Battlefrog back will be April 17th and 18th, historic Virginia Key Beach Park.
Yes.
Garfield, do you have any last thoughts on Battlefrog?
No, I just hope people will come out. I know I'm known kind of lately for being with Spartan, and I've had a great time there and everything. And they've actually been really cool with me and sort of wished me well and said, look, you got to do what you got to do. You got to pay bills in this tricky time. But I'm a big OCR #United person. So I just hope we can all come back together, Tough Mudder, Spartan, get out there, Savage, Sam and the guys, and just let's have a resurgence of the 2012, 2013 explosion of OCR and get everybody out in the mud again.
You know what? I think right now people want to get out. Like, everyone's locked inside. They're talking about more lockdowns again. I think we could have like a 2012, 2013 kind of explosion next year. I think people want to be around people, like physically touching and helping. And I think next year could be bigger than we're expecting in the OCR business.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble, and we've talked about that. And I know a lot of people said, are you going to launch in the back end of a pandemic? I'm like, we could lie down and die. I mean, we're basing this around Navy SEALs. They don't lie down and die. They say, get it done. So that's what Battlefrog's going to do. We're going to get out there. We're going to get it done. And if it goes, it goes. And it's good for everyone in the industry.
You can follow Battlefrog on Instagram at BattlefrogX. To be notified when tickets go on sale, sign up at battlefrogx.com. Garfield Griffiths, thanks much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Special thanks to Garfield Griffiths for joining us today. Well done, Garfield. Come back anytime. Will you be at the first Battlefrog in 5 years? It's in Miami. I live in California. I'm thinking about it. April 17th. That is 1 week after Toughest Mudder LA. Text me if you're going. 619-485-2726. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.
dancer in the woods.